Down there, Josh Ward. Josh, thanks for being here.
Thanks, John.
And right here, Chuck Cavaleris. Chuck,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for joining us. Time for our poll question, brought to you by Hearthside Bank. Just like them, the poll question's always within reach. You can either use your smartphone and get the QR code, or you can go to sportsource.tv and hit the polls button and get there. But your question today, how have the Vols' first two games impacted your outlook? And your choices are, they haven't. Or, I'm more hopeful, or I'm more certain, or playoffs, baby. So you see the leader, I'm more hopeful. So yeah, we got some people that are being kind of realistic here. It looks like the second runner-up, and I apologize, we don't have a monitor right up here, so we're having to look over there. That's why my eyes are going that. Looks like the second place, would you guys agree, is playoffs, baby? Or am I wrong on that? It doesn't matter. No one's talking. So when I ask these questions, I won't respond. But we're all old. Okay.
I can't see.
Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it say?
Playoffs, baby.
Josh.
I thought with all the oars, it was a Tennessee depth chart.
Is that what's leading? I'm just sitting here and just silent. Right.
Don't let me in.
I just want some pudding.
Here we go. I just pictured you as Grandpa Simpson. All right.
There you go.
Best player on the field last night, Josh or Chuck? Who wants it first?
Well, I mean, I'll go ahead and try and get something real quick. To me, it's Dylan Sampson again. Now he's got 5 touchdowns.
100 yards in the third
100
straight
yards
game.
rushing. We mentioned a great point by you, John, about chasing down the interception.
Deshaun Bishop.
Yeah, trying to get to him in the end
Kiss us
zone.
up. You need to learn.
So, I mean, I just think yet again, I mean, he continues to show up, and he gains some tough yards. So I think it definitely deserves some props.
Yep. All right. Best player on the field.
Yeah, Sampson's on my list just because he makes key plays, he makes explosive plays. He's a big part of what they do offensively. Choosing one defensive lineman seems like an impossible task, so I'll try to choose one. He made a big play early, Omar Norman Lott, when NC State's trying to drive down the field. I don't think Omar gets enough attention, which again is really difficult to do because of all the guys up front, but he's a guy that I think could be playing today, meaning in the NFL today. He chose to come back for another year, and that's a big part of the depth of Tennessee's defensive line.
I have a feeling he's going to be the second defender that gets drafted behind James Pierce. He's a guy that can make
Good
when you've got a defensive tackle who can not only stuff the run but also crushes the pocket. Those guys make a ton of cash. Best player on the field.
I go with Dylan Sampson because of his yardage that he got, 132 yards rushing, but it was after contact. He got a lot. I mean, he got hit 1 or 2 yards down the field, and then he got a lot more yards. And that's the thing. You saw him falling forward. So if he gets 20 touches and he gets 2 more yards after contact, that's 40 additional yards that he would gain rushing. So I like the way that he rushes physically.
I sensed a little ex-offensive lineman in that. Okay. Bob, who's the best player?
Dylan Sampson.
Okay, good. We'll move on quickly. Worst decision last night. Bob, I know we exchanged text right when it happened.
2 minutes and some odd seconds to go in the first half, and you come out and you run. Now, if you don't have a holding penalty that pushes you back, maybe it works. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more aggressiveness in that situation. I thought it reminded me last year of how they handled things with Joe Milton. With Hendon Hooker, 10 seconds to go, hey, we got to go 80 yards, but I think we can get a field goal out of this. It just seemed to me that was a little bit conservative for your offense last night. I would like to see a little bit more aggressiveness in the 2-minute situation.
And I want to ask this. Okay, so he says that's the worst decision tonight when you went kind of conservative there at the end of the half. I'm not arguing that point, but I will say I wonder if it's not just we're bringing, Nico isn't Joe Milton, but he's also not Hendon Hooker yet.
No.
Let's not let him. He's thrown a pick. Let's not let this. Let's not give them an easy one. Let's not make a mistake here. Let's take our 3. I just wonder if they're trying to bring him along slowly, which is why they didn't jam the foot to the gas.
And you still got a field goal right at the end of the half.
Well, yeah,
correct?
but-
I mean, it's not like you didn't get any
But it
points.
wasn't the go
Right,
that you
right.
saw in
No,
2022 with Hendon Hooker.
I would just say, hey, in this situation, let's go ahead and work on it now, because if it's Alabama or if it's Georgia, okay, we've got a little bit of 2-minute drill under his belt that isn't just hand it off.
Your thoughts on this? The decision to just kind of slow play it there at the end of the half instead of letting Nico take your shots?
Well, I understand Bob's point. I wonder if they also thought we'd get the ball at the start of the second half, so why risk anything to help NC State? Let's see what we can do here, knowing we're also going to have another chance coming out of the half. I thought actually Bob was going to go right before that. I thought Dave Doran's decision to not take it down to the 2-minute timeout. They snapped it with a few seconds before. I was sure that they would take the timeout and then allow clock to run after or force Tennessee into a timeout, assuming they didn't get the first down. So I thought that was costly by Dave Doran to allow Tennessee a little extra time at the end of the half.
All right, have you got a worse decision? Or
Yeah, mine is Max Gilbert's field goal late in the game. 53-yarder, right? Now, we talked about 53-yarder in college now is not a long field goal. It really isn't. I mean, you see guys kicking 55, 56. It's on the outer edge. But here's what it does for me. As a coach on the opposing team, I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't have the range. So now I know where I've got to get to. So I play a little bit differently when I'm going against them. Like, okay, they got to kick a field goal to win. How do I defend that? I defend it a little bit differently because they don't have a guy with a cannon of a leg. And, yeah, it's a long field goal, but he made one earlier, and he just skirted it in on the side. So I don't know where his confidence is. As a freshman, how's he going to handle a big, big game?
I think that's fair. I think that's very much fair. But I have a feeling you could look at it the other way. I could see Heupel saying, "Well, I got to know what his range is."
You got to know what his range is. I understand, but you're showing a late field goal. Again, you've got all this distance. Now, if you're going in and I'm a defensive team and I've got a 2-minute situation, okay, here's how I defend soft to a certain area before.
But it's not like he came up short. He had plenty of leg, right? I mean, he just missed it late.
Yeah, he had plenty of legs.
He had plenty of legs, so I don't
just
think
don't
that
like
was
the decision kicking field goals in that situation when you got such a huge lead.
Right. I mean, because then you're thinking, what if they block it?
All right.
You know.
No, I'm just thinking.
Can I give
kick
one-
a field goal when I'm ahead 51-40 or 51-10?
Can I give one
Yeah,
disappointment?
quickly.
James Pierce. I mean, is something else going on there?
Worst
that-
decision? This doesn't fit worst
Well,
decision.
not playing. Not. I mean, he's not.
They're double teaming him,
right,
for one thing.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
let's get to, all right, I think we jumped ahead. We went from worst decision. Biggest disappointment is next.
Okay.
Is that James Pierce? And let me just say this. So many people got mad last week. We have a question in this show. It's supposed to be tough. So it's going to be easy when Tennessee loses. When they win, it's a tough question, tough discussion.
Right.
Its biggest disappointment for this game. We said last week, was it a disappointment? You only got one sack against Chattanooga. I got pilloried for that. It's like, oh, what are you thinking? They're going to be good. Nobody said they're going to be bad. Just it was a disappointment last week. All right, now, James Pierce, he's got no sacks on the year. He's got one tackle on the year. He's got a half tackle for loss on the year.
That's right.
Is that a disappointment? Is that where you're going?
Yes, that's what I got right here. Biggest disappointment. To me, it is, and I just wonder if there's something else going on there. I hope there's not.
I just think he's being double teamed,
Yeah.
which I thought going into the season. Not to mention the fact you got to be Jadeveon Clowney if you're going to be the best college football player in the country and as a defender.
And it'd be a defensive end. You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was Jadeveon Clowney coming in. I think he's a hell of a player.
Right.
I think he could be the number one draft pick. I don't think he's Jadeveon Clowney. I don't think he's going to be the number one player in college football on defense this year. I may be wrong. Your thoughts on biggest disappointment? Is it James Pierce at this point, or something else, or what?
I think some of the penalties that Tennessee got, just clean them up a little bit. Peely had a late hit that was kind of like
Stupid.
Yeah, it was like, all right, dude, I get it. You're 7 years into this.
Blocking the back on the
one
punt
to do
return.
it.
I mean, that was-
Cost yourself.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not concerned about Pierce Jr. They're scheming him.
Yeah, they're double teaming him.
Yeah.
The good news is you haven't missed him.
Well, because you got other guys that are
Right.
really, really good.
Exactly.
And they're eventually going to have to adjust for them.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts coming up.
Bob, the 7 penalty, you also cost yourself a touchdown for another
Yeah, yeah,
tight
the
end
touchdown call back, the holding penalty on the 2-minute drill, kind of negated, if you are trying to run it and get close, it negated that. And, I mean, you had one unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that was offset.
That
so
wasn't-
you would have had 4 15-yard penalties
Personal
if that
fouls.
one doesn't get offset.
And then-
That's just too much.
Cam Selden already missing a game because he's hurt. I mean, come on. You don't have enough depth there already.
Oh, wow. Disappointing. He's been hard today. Josh?
Mainly just you guys, disappointing you and your negativity.
Very good. All right. When we come back, the Vols look awfully darn good. But Mike Stoll isn't a rest on your laurels kind of guy because he has no laurels. What is Tennessee's weakest link? We came into the season saying, well, secondary, maybe the offensive line. Well, let's pick some nits. Is there a weak link? Come on back on the Sports Source.